Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to do a AS level question from paper 2, variant 23, May June 2018, question 4, based on costing. The question states that DP Limited is a large manufacturing and retailing company. The following information is also available. Current selling price per unit is $3.60. Current weekly sales are 2000 units. Contribution margin is 45%. In the EBIT of the question, we are asked to calculate the total contribution the company would earn over the 4 weeks period. You see, when we talk about marginal costing, selling price will be equal to the variable cost plus contribution. So here the contribution margin, which is given as 45%, it means it is 45% of the selling price, which will be our contribution. So the selling price is $3.60 and 45% of $3.60 will be $1.62. This will be the contribution per unit. And it is also given that the weekly sales are 2000 units and we are asked to find the total contribution for 4 weeks period. So this is for 1 week. For 4 weeks it will be 2000 units times 4, which will be 8000 units. For 8000 units the contribution will be, for one it is $1.62. For 8000 it will be 8000 times $1.62, which will be $12,960. Furthermore, additional information is provided which states that the directors are planning to hold a 4-week price promotion on the most popular product. The director plans to reduce the selling price of the product by 20% over the whole 4 weeks of the promotion. They forecasted that the additional sales for the product will be 150% of the current sales. The company will incur additional fixed costs of $6,000 to run the promotion. The directors forecasted that the unit variable costs will remain as they currently are. In the pivot of the question, we are asked to calculate the total forecast units to be sold if the directors proceed with the promotion. You see, the current weekly sales are 2000 units and the forecasted additional sales of the product will be 150% of the current sales. So 2000 units times 150%, which will be the additional sales, will be 3000 units. So the total weekly sales will be the current sales, which are 2000 units plus 3000 units, which will be 5000 units. This is for 1 week and the period of promotion is for 4 weeks. So for 4 weeks it will be 5000 times 4, which will be 20,000 units, will be the total forecasted sales during the promotion period. In the CBIT of the question, we are asked to calculate the additional profit or loss if the company proceeds with the promotion. So let's do all the calculations in the working notes before proceeding for the calculation of additional profit or loss. We will begin with the information which states that the director planned to reduce the selling price of the product by 20%. So if we take the current selling price as 100%, this will be reduced by 20%. So the new or the promotional selling price will be 80% of the current selling price. And our current selling price is $3.60 and 80% of this will be $2.88, which will be the price of 1 unit during the promotion. Then the other information which is stated is the directors forecasted that the unit variable costs will remain as they currently are. They are currently, whatever is our variable cost, it will remain same. So in marginal costing, selling price is equal to variable cost plus contribution. And if you want the variable cost, we'll take the contribution to the other side. It will be variable cost will be equal to selling price minus contribution. Again, if the selling price is 100%, and which selling price we are talking about? We are talking about the current selling price. So the current selling price is $3.60. So if we take this as 100%, and we know that the contribution margin is 45%, so the variable cost will be 55% of our current selling price, that is 100 minus 45%. Hence the variable cost is 55% of our current selling price, and our current selling price is $3.60 and 55% of this will be $1.98, which will be the variable cost. Then next we are going to calculate the contribution, and this contribution is for the period of promotion. So when we are talking about the contribution for the period of promotion, then we are going to take the selling price which is for the period of promotion, that is $2.88. And in marginal costing, contribution is equals to selling price minus variable cost. So our contribution will be $2.88, which will be the promotional price, minus the variable cost, which is $1.98, and we will get the contribution as 90 cents. So let's proceed with the solution. We'll start with the selling price, which will be $2.88, which we have calculated. Variable cost, which was calculated as $1.98. Contribution per unit, which was calculated as 90 cents. Now our total contribution will be 20,000 units, which was calculated in the bit B of the question as the total quantity sold during the period of promotion, and this 20,000 units times the contribution per unit, which is 90 cents, will give us the total contribution as $18,000. And it was given that there will be an additional fixed cost for the period of promotion of $6,000. So when we subtract this, we'll get the profit as $12,000. However, if you remember from bit A of the question, the total contribution which was required for the fixed cost for the existing period was $12,960, and the profit which we are earning with the promotion is just $12,000, because there is a reduction in the contribution per unit as the selling price have been reduced, and because of this there will be an additional loss of $960. With this we have completed this bit. In the debit of the question, we are asked to calculate the percentage by which the current unit sales must increase for the promotion to break even. You see, break even is a point where we neither earn losses nor profit. We cover all our expenses. However, when we have done the calculation for bit C of the question, we have seen that we are making a loss. Why there was an additional loss? Because we were not able to cover all the fixed cost. The fixed cost required for the current capacity was $12,960, which was calculated in the bit A of the question. And for the period of promotion, we require an additional fixed cost of $6,000. So we require a contribution of total $18,960 to cover all our fixed cost and to break even. So 1 unit is contributing 90 cents. How much units are required to be sold during the period of promotion so that we can cover the fixed cost of $18,960? So if we cross multiply it, the required sales volume will be $18,960 times 1 divided by 90 cents, and it will be 21,067 units which are required to be sold during the promotion so that we can break even. Now this is for the period of promotion, which is 4 weeks period, and let's find the weekly sales. For 4 weeks it is 21,067 units. For 1 week, how much? So 21,067 divided by 4. So our weekly sales which are required during the promotion will be 5,267 units. And in the A bit of the question, it was given in the information that our current weekly sales are 2,000 units. And if we take this 2,000 units as 100%, the required weekly sales is 5,267 units for the period of promotion. So when we cross multiply this, the percentage of increase in the current unit sales for the period of promotion will be 5,267 times 100 divided by 2,000. It will be 263%, which will be the required increase in the current unit sales for the period of promotion so that the business can break even. In the bit E of the question, we are asked to advise the directors whether or not they should proceed with the promotion, and we have to justify our answer both with financial and non-financial factors. I have stated that the directors should not go for the promotion, and to justify my answer, I suggest that we have calculated in bit C of the question, where we have seen that with the price promotion, the company is facing an incremental loss of $960, which was slightly higher than what the directors have expected. No doubt there was a positive contribution of $12,000. However, it was not sufficient to fulfill the requirements of the fixed cost, which was $12,960. Hence, the company was facing a loss, so they should not proceed with the price promotion. Moreover, the sales as well as the additional cost are estimated or forecasted by the directors, and if they don't achieve the target of sales which they have was 20,000 units, and if this was not reached, then what will happen? Then the company will face further losses as it is not able to reach the break even level of sales even with 20,000 units. How they will manage if they are achieving a sales of 18,000 or 19,000 units? It may lead to more losses than what they have expected, and this may be a further loss for the company. And even subsequently, if we see that they have stated that the additional cost is just $6,000, and if in reality or when actual production have taken up this cost was $7,000 or $8,000, there will be a further loss. Like if it is $7,000, they will face a loss of $1,960, and as the fixed cost increases, the loss will also increase, which is also not good for the company. Then here, since the fixed cost is not covered by the promotional product, then what will happen? Then it will lead to negative impact on the other products of the company. Why? Because now the other products of the company need to cover up the fixed cost which is not covered by the promotional product, and hence the other products may require to be priced higher than what they are right now. And as the cost of this other products will increase, and the price of the other products increases, hence the will be a negative impact on the sales of the other product, and it may also affect the brand image of the company negatively, which is also not good. Furthermore, to go for the price promotion, the company will need to produce more than what they are producing now, and it is expected the production should be 150% of what is done at the current situation. And if the production have to be increased by 150%, then what happens? Then the workload of the employees will increase. And as the workload increases, now maybe they require more work to do as well as they require more overtime work to do. And if the employees are not willing to take up this overtime or extra workload, then this will lead to demotivation and grievance among the workforce, and this may also affect the quality of the production as well. So this will also be a problem when they go for the price promotion. Next is that they are going for the price promotion without considering the reaction of the competitors. If the competitors reduce the price below what the directors has considered will be the appropriate price for the price promotion, then what happens? As the competitors product price is lesser than what we are selling at, then naturally this will be a complete failure and there will not be any increase in the sales, and because of this the company may face losses. Furthermore, or the last one which I've stated here is that we have to consider that whether or not the company have the spare capacity to increase the production to 150%, which they are expecting to do when they go for the price promotion. And I don't think they have the spare capacity, because for this production they require additional fixed costs. That means they have to add up to the capacity, and this is why the cost is increasing. Hence, the directors should consider all these factors before going for the price promotion. And based on my analysis, what I suggest is the directors should not go or should not proceed with the promotional activity. In the bit of the question, we are asked to explain the purpose of cost volume profit analysis. This is a graph which shows the cost volume profit analysis. On the y-axis, we have the cost as well as revenue, and on the x-axis we have the volume. Basically, this is the analysis which shows the relationship between the change in cost and the change in volume and how it will affect the profit of the company. Here, if you see this point which is called as a break-even point, if the company is able to produce and sell the required volume of quantity to reach this point, then the company is neither making a profit nor it is making a loss, since it is able to cover all its fixed as well as variable cost. At this point, there is no profit, no loss, and below this point, if we see, that is, if the company is producing and selling any quantity below this point of break-even level of output, then what happens is the company will face a loss as it is not able to cover all its cost, and it will have a negative operating income as well as a negative net income. And If the company is able to produce and sell its output more than the break-even level of quantity or more than the break-even level of volume, then the company will have a positive operating income as it is able to earn profit, as it is able to cover all its costs, as well as it is able to earn profit. And hence the operating as well as the net income will be positive. Thus, this is used to see how the change in the cost as well as the change in the volume will have the effect on the operating income as well as the net income of the company. In the GBit of the question, we are asked to state four assumptions of cost volume profit analysis. There are various things we assume when we go for cost volume profit analysis. The first assumption which I have stated here is that we assume that the selling price per unit is constant. Based on this assumption, we'll get the line graph like this. If we see the total revenue, we have a linear upward slope for the total revenue. However, in reality, the selling price fluctuates, that it goes up and then it comes down and then it goes up. So, if we don't assume this, our total revenue graph will be something like this. But as we assume that the selling price is constant, hence we are getting a linear upward slope for the total revenue. Then we assume that the costs are easily classified as fixed or variable, whereas in reality we may have certain costs they are semi-variable, like for example electricity, where we have a fixed part, that is the rent which we pay for electricity, and the variable part which changes with the consumption. So there are many such costs which are semi-variable. However, for cost volume profit analysis, we assume that all costs are easily classified as fixed or variable. And then we assume that the total fixed costs are constant. And as we assume this, because of this, what happens is we are getting a straight parallel line for fixed costs opposite to the x-axis. And if we don't assume this, then what happens? Then your fixed cost, in reality it will be like a stepping cost, which we also call as a stepping cost for fixed cost, because the graph will be something like this, that is, it will be constant for a while, then it goes up, then it becomes constant, and that is how it happens in reality. However, for the purpose of cost volume profit analysis, we consider that the fixed costs are constant, and we also assume that the variable cost per unit is constant, and because of this again we are getting a linear upward slope for variable cost as well. And it is not, in reality we will get something like how we get the graph for the sales, because it may keep fluctuating as the variable cost fluctuate, the graph will not be linear. However, for cost volume profit analysis, we assume that the variable cost is constant, hence we are getting a linear upward slope for the variable cost. And we also assume that whatever we produce, we sell, that is, all the production is sold for cost volume profit analysis. These are the various assumptions which we assume when we go for cost volume profit analysis. Next, we have additional information which states that the director provides the following information for the manufacturing part of the business. Budgeted labor hours are 26,400 hours. Budgeted machine hours are 10,500 hours. Actual labor hours are 22,300 hours. Actual machine hours are 11,400 hours. Budgeted overheads are $445,000. Actual overheads are $420,000. In the H first bit, we are asked to calculate an appropriate overhead absorption rate for the business. You see, the overhead absorption rate can be calculated on the basis of the budgeted labor hours or on the basis of the budgeted machine hours. It depends whether the production is labor intensive or capital intensive. When the production is labor intensive, as we have in this case, the budgeted labor hours will be more than the budgeted machine hours. In other cases where the production is capital intensive, the budgeted machine hours will be more than the budgeted labor hours. However, here the production is labor intensive, hence we are going to calculate the overhead absorption rate on the basis of the budgeted labor hours. So our overhead absorption rate, OAR, will be equal to the budgeted overheads divided by the budgeted labor hours. which will be equal to $445,000 divided by 26,400 hours, and thus our overhead absorption rate will be $16.86 per labor hour, or we call it as OAR in short. It will be $16.86 per hour. And in the next bit, we are asked to explain one limitation of absorption costing. You see, absorption costing is based on the budgeted data, and if the budgeted data is inaccurate, then what happens? Then the absorption rate will also be inaccurate. If we see here the budgeted labor hours is different from the actual labor hours, and the budgeted overheads are different from the actual overheads. And as the actual labor hours as well as the actual overheads differ from what was estimated or budgeted, then what happened is this absorption rate based on actual production will also differ, and hence it will lead to over absorption or under absorption of our overheads, which is the major drawback of absorption costing. And with this, we have completed this question. Thanks for watching my videos and have a great life.